Gary, what's going on?
How you doing?
I'm doing terrific. How are you? That is the first question I kick off every podcast with. How are you?
Doing bad. Are we recording?
I jump right in.
Oh
I
yeah,
have
you're
no.
doing fantastic. I mean,
It's just the
this
conversation.
is
That's all it
yeah,
is.
this is where I live. This is where we are. So how could I be doing bad?
That is absolutely beautiful. Where is that, if you don't mind me asking?
Pacific Northwest.
That is gorgeous.
That's the Pacific Ocean out there.
What do you feel like that environment does for you? Have you ever lived big city?
Yeah, all my life I lived in the city. Well, all my adult life I lived in the city. So
Yeah.
the city has a certain flow to it. I used to consider myself a city person, but when the pandemic came, we came out here. We set up a retreat center, and it's part way up to
Mhm.
Whistler. Have you ever been to Vancouver?
I have not been to Whistler, but I'm familiar with it.
So it's part way up to Whistler. It's about a quarter of the way up, and we overlooking the Pacific Ocean there. And so we're out in the middle of nowhere. It's like we're on a mountain. We overlook an ocean. I mean, it doesn't look like an ocean. It looks like a lake from here, but
It looks
it's
gorgeous.
very
That's what it looks
calming.
like.
Yeah, it's calming. You could hear a pin drop out here. So when people come here and stay, the first little while, it's unnerving actually.
Mm.
It takes people about 3 to 5 days just to get used to it.
Yeah, I could imagine. What do you feel like for you personally are the big differences from city life to now? Like where do you see yourself any shifts from a personal perspective?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is to be in nature. We grew up in the city and we're bombarded by pollutions, chemicals, EMFs. And, I had all the appropriate devices to take care of myself. But when you come out into nature, you walk outside. I mean, there's bears out here. And you're right. We get in the ocean every day. It's pretty cold right now, but we still get in the ocean. And the shift of being in nature, nature is the best detoxifier. There's nothing that's better for us. And being here every day, it's really changed me as a person. It's given me more time to reflect. We stay on compound almost all the time, so I don't go into town very much. I don't drive around. I'm not in traffic. And I used to spend 2 3 hours a day in traffic everywhere. I was in LA when the clinic started, so.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, traffic. I had just had this conversation with a buddy of mine because not that I should be doing this, but whenever I'm commuting, I'm oftentimes trying to be as productive as possible during those commutes. Like I said, shouldn't be doing it, but I find myself doing it. And even if it's just answering messages and not necessarily texting, but sending voice notes back and forth, one thing that I notice is how much something as simple as traffic can alter a mood, whether it be someone cuts you off or anything of the sort. I literally see, and it's great because it's almost as if it's on record, where you hear the tonality in your voice change, or maybe you even blurt something out in the direction of that person. It's like, whoa, like they're just trying to get to where they're going. I'm just trying to get to where I'm going. How do these emotions like come out of you just for something so simple?
Well, I think, I mean, this is the whole journey. I don't know how much you know about fascial maneuvers and what we do, but it's the first movement process in the world that actually triggers the midbrain. So it brings out emotions. And, previous to that, the emotions were just running rampant in my body, and they store up. And if we got constant attack, little things like I said, a Wi-Fi, we've got signals, we've got neighbors, we're constantly interacting with people. We don't get time to shut down. And like in your car, you're talking about traffic. I had this conversation on a live broadcast today talking about, I remember in 1989, I was bringing wireless phones to North America when they were $20,000 per device. I remember the day when I realized it wasn't a good thing. I was driving over a bridge, and I was way more productive because I was talking to people, but I lost that time that I had with myself to interact. Because when I grew up, I'm 54. When I grew up, there was a phone at my home, there's one at my work, and for the most part, I left home, and you don't talk to people for the entire day. And sometimes you don't talk to people for 2 or 3 days because you're just missing schedules. But today's world, we're constantly connected, which draws on our nervous system. It makes us constantly in a sympathetic state, waiting for that next connection. And we do this with social media now too. So we take social media and we make a connection, but it's not really a connection. And it just tricks our brain to think it's a connection, like a pharmaceutical tricks your brain to think it's a natural product. And there is a side effect out of it, which we're starting to experience in society today. We're the sickest we've ever been, Matt. And any measurement of humanity, we have disease of all kinds at its peak: cancer, fibromyalgias. We have autoimmune diseases. We have mental disorders, social disorders at its peak. Autism, right now, it's like 1 in 20 compared to 1 in 400. Every disease and every dysfunction in the entire planet is at its peak right at this exact minute. And so we can't say that all this technology and all these things we've done and all this science about the human body and how we work, we can't say it's better. We're not better.
Yeah. Knowing that we are the sickest we've ever been, as you put it, I'm curious if you had a magic wand to cure that, what would be the step by step to do so? Like, what would be the top three things that would start to cure the people of this world?
We're already doing it, actually. I mean, we were 3 years ago, we had a following of 13,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we have 3.5 million, and we have 20 million people around the world participating. We have more people, 10 times the amount of people offline doing it. We've given them simple things. We have the primary things that are happening. Why are we so sick? I guess is the question. Is for the first time in human history, they're altering the education to say that we're not 70% water anymore. We're only 60% water, which means we're dehydrated. When we're dehydrated, we elevate our stress. When we elevate our stress, narrows our focus. We don't sleep right. We don't digest and process right. And this is normal. So even when we have all this health talk, we're having health talk about how stressed people become slightly more healthy than the stressed people. So the primary things are like in these skies out here, we have up there that was clear earlier. So we've had those guys seeded with barium, strontium, and aluminum. Barium depletes the body's silica. When you deplete the body's silica, we no longer absorb minerals. When we don't absorb minerals, we don't hold water. That's why the official body count of water is being reduced to 60. That's actually what they're teaching in school today. So first thing is to remineralize people, and you can't just take minerals. It's actually specific. You have to take silica. And silica you can get in different forms. Horsetail or diatomaceous earth are the most common. And silica is an element. So if people take silica, they start absorbing minerals again. They absorb minerals, they place water. Water then helps them deal with hormones and vitamins, which are a natural way that our body helps itself. So the first one is to rehydrate the body, but not by drinking more water. Drinking water is dehydrating people today. So it's take
Interesting.
silica. Yeah, I mean, we drink water. Do you drink water out of a tap?
So I stay away from the tap water. I do my best to drink brands like Mountain Valley and drink out of the glass bottles. Like I do try my
Sure.
best to do that. But I'm gonna be honest, on a day-to-day basis, I do find myself buying like a gallon of Poland Spring and
Yeah,
drinking that.
this
But
this is what
you know,
normal.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean that's the normal. So what you're drinking is processed water. So it's filtered, which is better than the tap water.
yeah.
Okay, but when we filter it, we're taking out the minerals. So when water goes over a rock, it takes minerals from the rock. If you have no minerals in your water, when water goes through your rock, it takes your minerals out of you. This is what's happening. So the number one cause of chronic dehydration today is overconsumption of non-mineralized water, which we
Hmm.
just don't have anymore. So first answer is to mineralize the body so it hydrates. The
Yeah.
second answer that I would do is to move the body daily. And we have a fascial maneuvers program, which moves the fascia. We could do one or two if you want to. We can even do it seated. And it inside moves the body as if you're outside moving. We do this with patients who can't move, and we actually do fascial maneuvers, or they're administered to them, and the body treats it the same way as if they're up and climbing through rocks or moving with their hands and their feet. So move the body, and then the third one is to process emotions real time.
Mm.
Emotions are what all disease on the planet Earth is is caused by a disease, the body's not at ease. So disease, if I'm angry if I'm angry right now or I'm fearful, my body doesn't feel comfortable, feels uneasy, right? If I leave that in my body over a long period of time, that disease is now measurable. All disease starts with an emotion that's dysregulated. It doesn't matter what the disease is. A genetic disease, people always get me with this. They say, well, what about a genetic disease? Well, how do genes mutate? Well, they through epigenetics, the stressors of the environment. What's the greatest stressor? Stress, hormone dysregulation, endocrine disruptors. It's happening every day to us.
So let's break this down. We'll go backwards here. We're talking about processing emotions. Now, I'm 30 years old. Oh, 31. I'm lying to you, Garry. I'm
When's your birthday?
31. October 7th, 92.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
So the reason I say that is because
You're,
let's say
yeah,
if I've never done therapy or I've never done the type of work that you put
you're,
out into the
by the
world.
way, you're a 15-degree Libra, I believe.
What does that mean? Talk to me about that.
That means you're Grandmaster Libra. You are all about balance, hearing both
Mm,
sides. You're about, you know that you are very granular and detailed in how you process things. You like to learn things. You might move a little bit slower, but you're highly intellectual. You think a lot. You're always trying to restore balance. You like probably things that look good, art, beauty, or something like that. You spend time and invest in that. You do things at your own time.
yeah, I had a couple readings and that's pretty spot on. So you know that really well, which I
Well,
love.
we use astrology as a way to understand the entire body. I found that to be
Mm,
the most accurate way to understand how to help people. So, by
yeah,
the way,
that's
lungs, super important to you. So we'll do something for lungs.
okay, cool. So if someone's 30 years old listening to this podcast, they've never done therapy, they've never done any sort of like yoga or ways to move to release emotion. Does it matter if they know what emotion needs to be released or not?
No, the body naturally processes emotion when it's out of stress.
Mm,
So, like I was talking about earlier, being in the car, I
yeah.
could self actualize in the car. Because if I have a big emotion, the job of the brain is to explain it. That's why if
Mm,
I have a big feeling, I want to blame somebody for it. It's you that made me angry. It's your fault. It's that situation. It's no, it's I have anger in me. That person brought it up to reveal it to me. So
yeah.
my brain's job of my brain is to resolve patterns, which one of the patterns in emotion is a very complex pattern. So it's trying to fix an emotion and it doesn't know how to fix it. If I'm in stress, I narrow my focus so I can't get outside of myself. That's the job of stress. It's to narrow the focus to one option. So if I can actually step outside myself, imagine just a line going from here: emotions, thought, emotions, narrative, emotions, narrative. I have to go out here and look at myself from out here in order to resolve that emotion. In other words, look at it
Okay.
from a third party point of view. Like when you get hot, take a minute, stand aside, and think of things from a logic. Now you're a grandmaster Libra, I believe, which means that you have a natural ability to do that. You can give things space and time, but I'm a Sagittarius. There's no such thing as space and time. I just pull my head down and run through a wall. So, so the idea of stepping outside my body or gaining perspective in a situation requires me to be out of stress.
Mm,
And if I'm not out of stress, I can't do that. So I can't self actualize. So that emotion then stays in the body. So what happens is if I'm out of stress, naturally my movement throughout the day will process that emotion. And there's a couple things we don't do today. We don't move very much today. Like the average American would walk between 8 and 10 miles a day 50 years ago. Actually, only 30 years ago we did that. The average American today is lucky to get 3,000 steps. And
wow.
so movement itself is super important.
Yeah. Now, when you're saying movement, though, you're not talking about just hopping on an elliptical. You're talking about more than that.
Ellipticals and stationary movement devices are some of the worst things that you can do to your nervous system. Because
Mm,
if you walk on an elliptical, you all of your senses are coordinating when you walk. When you walk, it's the most difficult thing for a human being to do. Both hemispheres of the brain, right hand, are conducting and transmitting information. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. Like think about riding a bike super slow. You're like wobbling, then you speed up,
right.
get momentum, right? Well, walking itself is like riding a bike slow. You have to calibrate all of the functions and dysfunctions. Like if you got a wobbly tire and you're riding slow, you'll notice it. You speed up, you don't notice it. Same thing with the human body. So when you're actually walking, your body's actually going through a process of clearing itself out. Like if you get hit, it looks like you played some sports when you're younger. Did you?
I did baseball and basketball. Yep.
Okay, so you get hit in sports and you're out in the and you're like down on the ground. You get up, you start walking around. You walk it off. It takes 3 minutes for your body to recalibrate. And it doesn't matter what kind of hit you take, you walk it off. It doesn't matter how bad it is, it's always 3 minutes. That's your body recalibrating its computer to know if you're okay and what needs to change. So
Hmm.
walking itself is super powerful, but part of that walking is the sensory processing of my eyes, seeing the environment change. So if I'm walking on a device where my environment doesn't change, my connection to my eyes and the environment start to become dysfunctional. And this is why people that spend a lot of time indoors and working outdoors, you take them out into nature and they have troubles like climbing up boulders or up rocks, or they don't know how to, they start navigating. They're like getting like this down a hill. It's because it disrupts the cycle between what I see and what my body, what kind of reflexes my body gets or reaction. So the worst thing you can do, and we've known this for a long time, when we work with Olympic athletes and professional athletes, first thing we do is take them off all the gym equipment. If you want them to
Hmm.
function, you take them out on a set of boulders and you get them to move around and crawl on all four and go up and you go down, because these are all information sources that feed back to our brain for processing. And when we walk on flat surfaces. So we don't even use our shoulders anymore. Like people don't, they don't have range of motion anymore.
You got me thinking because I am on an elliptical. I want, and granted, listen, I love riding my bike, but I'm in New York City. It is cold right now, but I'm saying to myself as I'm listening to you, I'm like, you know what? I have to stop going to the gym for my cardio and simply just go to the park. I have a gorgeous park in my neighborhood. I'm in Queens. I'm very fortunate for what I have, but um, that's what I hear when I hear you talk. It's like chill out with the gym stuff, get out in nature, move your body. I might even bear crawl up and down a hill that we have in the park.
Matt. My background was a bodybuilder. I went nationals to go pro, and but this is
Okay.
back in the '80s, right? I spent most of my life around 215 to 230 pounds, pretty heavy, mostly fairly lean. And I can tell you from being coming from that, I am now at my 14-year-old body weight. It took me 5 years to pile off the muscle, literally.
Mm.
But what I can do right now is I can, and I don't do yoga or anything, but I can dislocate all my joints functionally without a problem, without feeling something. And we were not meant to act and react in the environments that we are today. We weren't meant to
Mm.
walk on flat surfaces. Even our hips, even if you walk on a flat surface, like if you walk on pavement in New York, and right beside it you have hard but grass, like natural organic, but it's still hard packed. So it's not much different than the rock. If you walk in there, feel your hips tighten,
Mm.
take a step off it and walk, feel your hips start to sway, then walk back on the concrete, your hips will tighten again. And they do a two-dimensional movement rather than a three-dimensional movement. That's a normal,
Yeah.
the hips, but they'll start doing this when you're on a pavement, which then flattens your shoulders. You know that, think about when's the last time you raised your hands above your head? I mean, the only time we do it is if we're asking a question, we're at a concert, or we're being arrested. So try raise your right hand here, and then just,
Just my right.
yeah, just raise your right, and then go like this. Get your range of motion, your max range of motion. I'll show you something about what happens with gym equipment. Okay, so come up and grab a bar. Now do that. You lose your range of motion.
Yeah, I also have
Open it
two
up.
shoulder surgeries, so I'm
Well, open
probably
it
not
up.
the best person to.
Open it up. Open it up again, and then check your range of motion.
Yeah.
Now close it. So we go to a gym, we grab things that are unnatural and we start moving it. So what we're
Mm.
doing is we're exercising or building muscle in a restricted range of motion through a joint. Eventually that joint's going to wear down. I don't know how much you know about like the Human Garage Clinic, but what we did is we fixed athletes that couldn't be fixed by the teams or by, so our athletes were all the top pros, all the top Olympic runners, stuff like that. All of our Olympic athletes, by the way, had a medal.
Yeah. That's incredible. And by the way, I'm very familiar. If I wasn't familiar, I wouldn't have invited you here. That's why I wanted to have this conversation. I want to talk about the mobility you just showed me, right? Like the ability to lift your leg literally behind your head. I'm curious to know how much of that is your physical ability or actually on the flip side your emotional ability, meaning to my knowledge we've done over 300 of these podcast episodes, so we've had many conversations and many different perspectives on where trauma's stored, where emotions are stored, etc., etc. I'm curious to know how much of what you just showed me is your emotional flexibility versus your physical flexibility.
They're not mutually exclusive. That's a
Okay.
better way to say it, because if I'm carrying the load of too many people on my shoulder, I'm going to have a shoulder issue.
Mm.
And if I'm not able to move forward in my life, I'm going to have a hip issue. If I'm dealing with too much worry and too much resentment, I'm not going to be able to rotate my upper trunk. So it's a combination of. But the one thing you can do is you can actually move the fascia in these areas to start. But then what people do is they start to have the emotions associated with them come up, and then the narratives start to play. Like, why was I resentful? And they remember that event or that situation. So
what
it's a combination.
what is it with the fascia specifically? Like, talk to me about that, because obviously that's what your work is, what your work's around. I'm curious, is the fascia, is that where our emotions are stored?
Yeah, well, think about it this way. Here's an interesting fact: the brain itself doesn't have pain.
Mm-hmm.
So you can cut into the brain. You can actually do brain surgery without any anesthesia. The old Hannibal Lecter thing, where he opens the brain, that's actually very,
Yeah,
very true. So that means that pain itself isn't physical.
it's mental.
Pain itself is a emotional response to something that's happening in the body.
Mm.
So pain, we don't have pains up here. So like when we have emotional pain, it's not up here, but we medicate for this part to shut off the sensors that tell you it's there. Not a very smart thing to do, as we're starting to figure out. So the brain itself has 100 billion nerve endings. And nerve endings are a way, it's like horsepower in your body.
Mm.
But your fascia, it has its own brain called an interstitium. And you can Google, my fascia has an interstitium. And you can see what the research is coming out now. It has 100 trillion nerve endings. So that means that this is your body is a computer. That makes this a processing unit, which isn't even considered an organ, by the way. We think of it as one, but it's not an organ. It's not, your 10 organs are in here. So
Mm.
your brain tells you what's going on. It's a command center that's coordinating the action of all the organs. So the way to think about it is your computer has a hard drive. It has all this. It has Wi-Fi components, Bluetooth that comes in, has a screen. And what it does is has a processor that allows all of them to work together and present themselves. That's what your brain is. It's a processor. And it has a little
Yeah.
bit of memory. It's like a RAM memory, like short-term memory, but it doesn't store all of the real programs, the innate things that make us, like the belief systems and the and the values or the memories of the past. So they're stored somewhere in the body. Think about it
Mm.
this way: if I was going to cut you up like Hannibal Lecter, I would dismember you. Or I guess the other one would be who's the guy that does it on TV, that TV show? Uh,
I'm not familiar.
where he's an NCI guy, and he's also a serial killer. Can't even remember it right now. So
I'm not familiar.
Dexter.
Oh, there you go. Okay, okay. Now I know who you're talking about.
So if I was to dismember you, I'd take it apart. If you want to
Mm.
remember, you're putting it back together. Members, referring to, what do you call this? It's a member.
Mm.
So what we're doing, that means that information is stored in other parts of our body. We knew this at one point. That's why we use the word remember. And so you take an insult or like a memory. That's why when you go to yoga class, you open up your hips and all of a sudden you have this emotional release because there's a memory stored in that tissue. That memory is an event, but that event has an emotion, and say liver, anger. And then it has that emotion, that memory, that emotion has a narrative, the way I described it. That's a narrative. So it has to have the tissue itself, the impact, the insult, the event, the memory of it, the emotion of it, and then the narrative of it. That's how you remember something. And when you can't remember, it's because one of those components isn't able to pull up in the processor. That's what we have when we have things like dementia.
Mm.
Is that we're not able to put all of those pieces together. That's why people that
Yeah.
have dementia that do fascial maneuvers, we have people that are coming right off dementia scale, right off, like within weeks or months sometimes.
Would you mind actually walking us through a few movements for what I would feel like are the most common things our audience experiences?
Sure.
Those things would be, off the top of my head, anxiety. It would be anger is probably one. I guess let me throw this question at you, Gary. Is like, what do you feel like is the number one emotion when someone goes through a breakup? Is it anger? Is it sadness?
Well, I think we all at the end of it, there's only two emotions in the world, and everything is a derivative of that. Our lower brain stem, the rear brain, all the way back, thinks
Mm-hmm.
of it only has desire and fear, not
Mm-hmm.
love, but desire and fear. Because an animal either desires to be with you or is afraid of you. There's no real in between in that situation. So instead of fear, a little bit less than fear. Fear locks me up. I can't move. So instead of fear, I can have anger, which is processed in the midbrain. That's where our emotional center is. So it's not quite fearful. Like I'm angry, I'm locked up, but I can still move. But
Mm-hmm.
fear, I'm really locked up. Like literally can't move. And
Yeah.
instead of anger, I can have another one, which is more of a perception, which is called frustration.
Okay.
Those are three roots. So it's frustration, anger, and fear. So at the core of it, when I break up with somebody, the emotion is fear. But
Mm.
I might express that through sadness, which is like anger, but slightly different. I might express it through resentment. I might express it through um, excitement, joy. I
Sure.
mean, yeah, yeah. Some people it's like
Sure.
I'm out of here finally. Yeah, and so these are all, and that's to all you Scorpios out there, who knew you
Okay,
should
so I
have
love this.
who knew
I
you should
love
have broke
this.
up a long time ago, and you didn't break up a long time ago because you didn't want to say anything or hurt them.
Okay, so let's break this down. If you don't mind, let's do, I don't know, and this is a good cue for everyone, by the way. First and foremost, I just want to put this out there. This conversation, we've been rolling for give or take 28 minutes. I could talk to you the rest of the day. Like, I'm having a blast doing this. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that Gary's socials, websites, all of that good stuff is in the show notes of this episode. And then, furthermore, what everyone that's tuned in audio wise, I want you to check this out on video. This is on YouTube as well. Head over to the YouTube channel. You can find that in the show notes because what Gary's about to show are a couple maneuvers, a couple movements to help us release some of the things that we experience. So I just wanted to preface it with that, Gary. But
Yeah,
I was just thinking, like, what are the common things? So our audience, they're high performing millennials. They're millennials that want the most out of every bucket of life. And what I see as being one of them myself, I had so many unresolved emotions before I did something like talk therapy or CBT or EMDR or different types of yoga, breath work, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like they have those unresolved emotions, and then furthermore, it boils up into anxiety and stress and overwhelm. So if there's something that we could do to address
yeah,
that, I think it would be super helpful.
yeah. So let's do the first thing. Is that when we have stress in our body, we are not able to self-actualize. So we can't process the difference between an emotion. So
Mm,
so that's when you ask somebody, they don't really know if they're angry or sad or they just I'm angry. That's it. They don't know if it's frustration. They don't know if it's resentment. They don't know if it's regret, which are all components of anger. So let's take the stress out first.
mm,
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is you're the best you've ever been, and 1 is you need to go and check yourself into a hospital mentally.
Mm.
Where are you at this exact moment?
Me personally, I'm gonna answer honestly. I'm gonna say like a 6.7. If you asked me Friday, I would give you a much higher number. I had a great week last week. This week's a little bit different. I'm surfing the waves of life, but I'll give you 6.7.
Well, today is a special day because today is a 21 degree. Today is about testing your beliefs. It's what you
Mm.
believe about what you believe. It is one of the most powerful belief days in 2,500 years. So
Wow.
people are being tested today. There's no doubt about it. And most likely over the last couple of days, they've had crap come up. And I know this is going to play later, so it's a little bit time dated here, but every day has a theme. So let's say okay, and then earlier last week, it was if we go into like Friday, like Thursday or Friday, these are days where we're starting to have fun. We're starting to open up. Like Friday was a manifest day. Like what?
Mm.
It's like what, and that's sorting stuff out. I want more of this. I don't want more of that. That's fun. So
Mm.
let's take your 6.5 and let's just do something and see if we can change it. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Okay, so I'm going to get you to take your right foot, put it over top of your left leg.
Okay.
And you can do this. I'll describe it on so people who are pure audio can get it. Right arm you can put underneath your left armpit. Left arm on top of your right shoulder. Okay, I want you to pull your belly button in and squeeze up your sex organs like the last drop of pee, or for women listening, it's like a Kegel. So pull it up inside. Turn your head to the left and your body to the right. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to breathe in through your mouth and hold it. So breathe in. While you're holding it, take more. Take more. Turn your body a bit more to the right and exhale. Breathe in and hold it. More. More. Turn and exhale. Pull on that spine again. Squeeze those sex organs. Breathe in again. More. More. And exhale. Now breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth 6 times. Breathe in. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Okay, so come back to center. Keep yourself hugged up there. Turn your head to the right and your body to the left. Pull in your belly button. Squeeze up your sex organs. Breathe in through your mouth and hold it. More. More. Filling up those lungs. Turn a bit more to the left. Turn your head more to the right and exhale. Again. More. More. Exhale. Breathe in. More. More. Exhale. In through the nose and out through the mouth 6 times. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Okay, come back to center. Relax for a second. We're going to do one more thing too. What do you notice is changing for you, Matt? Move your head around, move your shoulders.
I am so relaxed right now.
Yeah. Did the room get brighter?
That one is particularly hard to answer because I have lights at all angles.
Or for
So,
you, you're Libra, you notice details. It might be you notice more details about the environment.
yeah, about me personally, I could tell you how zen. I feel very, very zen.
You have energy too?
That Yeah, I have focus.
Very good.
I have focus. I'm very attent. Not hyper vigilant. I don't want that to be confused for the people listening. I just feel here, right
Yeah.
here with you. But just overall, like I just feel like I came down, you know?
So so now on a 1 to 10, where are you?
I would definitely say I went up. I feel a bit better. I think I gained the point 3 points. I would feel comfortable telling you I'm at a 7 right now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on one for today specifically. There's different energy every day. Today is a day where our belief is being tested. Okay, so take your right hand, put it on your center bone, right there on your chest, right on your sternum, the xiphoid. Go to the left of your body. So go follow it, your rib cage down, right to where the rib curves. Dig in there and pull the skin across. That's your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take your left hand, put it behind on your trap on your neck. Just laying it on there. Doesn't have to squeeze or anything. It's just there. Now imagine in your mind that you're connecting these. That's the first thing I want to tell you. And the second thing is this is putting your body in a programming state. When you're programming, you're susceptible to information. So we're going to use an affirmation too. So you're going to breathe into your mouth. Breathe in. 2, 3. Repeat after me. I no longer need to worry.
I no longer need to worry.
I believe in myself more than ever.
I believe in myself more than ever.
Open through your nose, breathe in. 2, 3. Okay, let that go. Your mind got really quiet there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your voice and the tone of your voice has changed.
I'm chill right now. I'm chill. I have to ask you this because I want people to do this.
Yeah.
And I know one thing that would potentially feel like a hurdle to some people is that they're not doing it perfectly, right?
Yeah, really good statement. You can't mess it up.
Okay, so I didn't mess up what we were doing right there because I'll be honest. When I had my hand cuffed in my rib, when I started breathing, I felt like it lost that. So
Yeah.
there's no messing it up.
Yeah, that the losing it is actually your body adapting to this the stressor you gave it, which was
Hmm.
you want to release the stomach from the diaphragm and the rib cage, so that it can flow freer. By the way, if you eat too much, that's a good way to get an extra couple pieces of food, your dessert down. But so, but what it does is it changes it. What you're doing is I mean, the world's pretty much, especially your generation, you're aware that there's chakras, there's portals, there's
Hmm.
energy. Like you can't deny it. Like we use this with Olympic athletes 20 years ago, but the rest of the world, like that's all BS. But like people like Tiger Woods come in, and instead of smoking a cigarette and drinking a scotch in between, he goes and works out and runs, and that's why he is who he was. We have a world that's changing its belief system, right? And so what we're doing is harnessing things that would be considered ancient practices in a way. We've modified them based on our view of fascia, because the ancient practices we didn't talk about fascia. We talked about it in Chinese medicine, energetic organ or triple burner, but we never described what it was. This is what we're describing. So for you, one of the things that you do, Matt, is that you block your heart so you're not disappointed, especially when it comes to feminine, emotional, or let's say mother, women, etc. Fair statement?
Hmm. I'm getting better at it. I'm not great at it, so I will say that yes, I do have an
Okay.
avoidant part of me.
You know how I knew that?
Tell me.
Your tattoo on your heart meridian on your left arm.
My tattoo tells you that.
Yeah, because you don't, there's no accident to where we place a tattoo. Our
Mm,
nervous system is doing it for a reason. There's like, no, I just randomly went and I just, where should I go? No, that's not how it works. Before we do something to our body is telling us something. So
mm.
let's see how that feels. Let's take your left arm, put it up like this. So you're basically putting your left arm, putting your left hand on your left trap, so your arm's in front of you. Take your right hand on the elbow, grab it, and turn the skin outwards, like really outwards. Yeah. Okay, now put it above your head. So bring that above your head. There you go, best you can. Now lean over to your right. Turn your head to the left and breathe into your mouth. 2, 3. Through your nose. 2, 3. Say, I'm opening myself up to receive more,
I'm opening myself up to receive more,
especially when someone offers help.
especially when someone offers help.
Okay, so come on down. So, feminine aspect isn't about being female, it's about receiving, letting help come in
Mm,
because you don't like to take help. You like to do it
yeah,
yourself.
I definitely do. I'm curious on the tattoo sentiment. Does it change anything if someone, for example, I got this tattoo before it was legal for me to get one? I got this at 17 years old. Does that change anything, me telling you that in regards to the feedback you gave me based on that?
Yeah, it tells me that
Yeah.
somewhere along the line that you're probably protecting your heart from your relationship with your mother.
I think I still am. I think the mother
Yeah.
wound is still open. So you, you know,
So, so, um, so again, there's a narrative, there's a story that goes on. Remember we talked about trauma earlier. It has to have an
yeah.
insult, something in the body, has to have an emotion, and then has to have a story that I tell myself about it.
Mm,
So, and I'm not trying to be a psychic reader, but I'm just, like putting two and two together, the equation.
yeah.
How do you feel right now, by the way?
I feel zen. I feel super, super zen. Yeah, I'm happy right now. Like I'm happy that we're having this conversation.
Yeah, happy. Yeah, because that's happiness is something that, let's just say that you've been looking to bring into your life,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so let's try an experiment. Let's do two other
Okay.
things and then see how that changes this state. Your body's a computer, and what we're doing is we're pressing buttons. Some of it we're
Okay.
holding with our hands, some of it we're pressing inside with breath, but we're directing this around to create a different state of awareness.
Mm,
So what we're going to do is we're going to go right at your liver and your gallbladder. That's anger and resentment. Okay,
okay.
that goes along with protecting myself from the emotions of my mother.
I'm sure.
Okay. So take your right hand, put it on your xiphoid. Yeah, right there. Go to the right side, kind of where you were on the left side. Now I want you to push this one in and then like twist the skin like you're making a twirl. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Left hand on the neck. Okay, breathe in through your mouth. 2, 3. Say, I no longer want to hold anger and resentment in my body.
I no longer want to hold anger and resentment in my body.
I'm letting it go now.
I'm letting it go now.
Breathe in through your nose. 2, 3. Okay. Whoa.
Mm.
Now you're starting to get into I smoked a bong territory.
Are my eyes low?
Well, you can see the demeanors coming down. Eyes aren't.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. You look relaxed.
I'm curious, Gary, if someone's doing these maneuvers and they feel tension. So, for example, as I'm holding where you tell me to hold, under the rib cage, I feel tension in my arm as I do that.
Yeah.
Is that because I'm going too hard? Is that okay? I'm just curious, and I'm trying to
It's
work through these.
totally okay. It's just an
Yeah,
observation. You can, and by the way, you can just put your hands there and not even barely touch. It's just that if you twist it, you're going to get movement of the fascia. All of our organs have a circular. The fascia winds together to create an organ.
yeah,
So, yeah. I mean, here's a common misconception: the heart is a pump.
mm,
The heart's actually a vortex. It spins the blood. And if there's a famous cardiologist that does a dissection of a heart, and he shows it on camera, and he's called unwinding the heart. And what he does is he shows that the heart just brings the blood in and spins it. So your blood is a circulatory system. It rotates it like a siphon. It goes every 45 seconds. It goes all the way through the body, circulates. So
mm,
that means it's already circulating. So what is the pump for the heart? It's actually your calves as you walk. That's why walking was so
hmm.
good.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
so interesting. I love that.
So are you feeling a little bit, let's say, well, I'll let you tell me what you feel right now. Characterize your
I,
demeanor.
Yeah, my shoulders have evidently dropped, in my opinion. I think,
Yes.
I probably came in here and I was probably a little bit more up here. They've definitely dropped. I am someone that carries tension personally. I know this just from experience. Even I've had masseuses tell me how much tension I have in my traps and in my shoulders and my upper back. So right now I kind of feel that's dropped, which feels really nice. It almost feels, I mean, it feels relaxing, right? I think I characterized myself earlier as feeling zen, and that still stands true. Um, I will say the more I feel relaxed, it's not that I'm less attentive, but I feel like my mood is, it's like, okay, almost time for bed. Like I'm starting to feel that way.
Okay. This is what, okay, what you're starting to feel is your body, it just knows I'm on or I'm off.
Mm,
And that's why people go, I don't have any, especially millennials. I don't have any problem going to sleep. I hit the pillow, I go to sleep. That's not a sign of a good thing. It's because I'm so fatigued that when I finally stop, I shut down. So your brain's rewiring itself. So you can
mm,
build up your oxygen too. Like one of the ways to do it is to build up oxygen. So we didn't do anything on the right side. So that's your sympathetic side. So it's going to bring a little bit more energy to you. So that's why I was saying we're taking you through a little journey. Take your right hand, put it on your trap, and then with your right elbow up, take your left hand, grab the elbow, turn, put your right elbow above you, lean over to your left, and you feel that good stretch right underneath the rib cage. That's your
yeah.
kidney. Yeah. So lean forward slightly a little bit. Take 3 sharp breaths. Go. Okay. Now breathe with me slowly. Breathe in to the mouth. 2, 3. Through your nose. 2, 3. Okay, now keep your arm up there for a second. I want to imagine that red gas is covering your whole body from the feet up. Breathe in through your mouth. Breathe that red gas into your lungs. Now there's an orange gas around your body. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Okay. Now, first of all, we haven't really done anything, and this can be done. We've talked interspersed among it. We've done about 6 minutes worth of fascial maneuvers while we're seated at a desk.
Mm.
And you've totally changed your entire state of being. Now, do you feel a little different?
I do feel more attentive now. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm back.
Yeah. So basically, what we did is we took oxytocin, basically testosterone, estrogen, estradiol, in the last couple of movements, and we basically gave you some natural heroin.
Mm.
Now, what we did is we spiked it with a little bit of natural cocaine. So
I love
now,
that.
So now your dopamine is going back up and you can feel it. Your brain wants to go because we were attending to the left side, the receiving side of your body. Now we're attending to the right side. Let's do one last one to really wake you up. Take your two hands in
Okay.
front of you. Take your left hand and grab your right thumb, like you're holding onto a motorcycle handle. Turn the skin forward, like wrapping it around. Bring your hands in, pull them apart. So you're pulling your thumb off. Take your left elbow, rotate it all the way to the back. So rotate it around, left elbow to the back. Okay, good. Now turn
Yep.
your head to the right and breathe in 3 times. 2, 3. Through your nose. 2, 3. Okay.
Mm. I'm awake.
Right. You're awake and you're
I'm
clear.
awake.
Yeah.
I'm awake. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
This is the equivalent of taking Vyvanse, which your generation takes a lot of.
Yeah.
So this is
Okay.
natural Vyvanse we just gave you. So like this is where stockbrokers, traders, people that have to be alert, awake, adaptive. This is where your high volume thinking. This is where these are the movements that you can use for high volume thinking. So now
Yeah.
go back to your scale of 1 out of 10. Where are you at right now?
I would definitely say above a 7. Like I feel good about myself right now. Like about the way I'm feeling. I feel really good.
Sure. So take the biggest problem that you had before this podcast, the biggest incident, the thing that's a thorn in your side that you're just going through, it's extreme. Look back at it. Like close your
Mm.
eyes, think back about it. Does it feel the
Mhm.
same?
Not really. Not really. It's something coming up in the future. So I almost feel as if it is something I might worry about again, but right now it's not a worry.
There you go. So when you worry about it again, guess what you do?
Do this.
Give yourself
Yeah.
a shot of drugs.
Yeah.
Kuna Matata.
I love that.
So here's a common myth. Drugs don't make us high, by the way.
Mm.
We believe that drugs make us high, but that's actually not the truth. Drugs you take stimulate a series of hormones to fire in your body, and that presentation of hormones goes, I'm high. But the drug did it, it made your body do it. That means that your body can do it another way too. What we're
Mm.
doing is giving your body natural drugs and see how fast it is, but there's no side effect.
I love that. I love that. I have to ask you a couple more questions. I know I only have you for a few more minutes. Otherwise, I would go all night. Um, I'm curious. I mean, just based off of the line of work you're in, the clients you've worked with, what's a question you wish more people would ask you?
I think the biggest question that I want people to ask me is how I help myself, because they want me to help them. And even this is why we no longer, anybody listening to this, do not DM me. I'm not going to see you ever. I have dedicated my life now to helping people help themselves, because when I was helping people, I was taking away the strongest ability for the human body to heal itself is the belief that I can do it. And if I give up that belief to you or somebody else, I'm disabling the greatest mechanism, the greatest placebo mechanism that the body has, the belief in myself. And so I no longer identify as a practitioner. I don't
I
use those
love that.
pronouns anymore.
I love that. That is really powerful. So you're really giving the power back to the people.
Yeah, and we do it free of charge. So all of
I
our
love that.
programs this is a basic truth of how the body works. I spent 30 years in pain. I spent $2.5 million trying to fix myself, $15 million educating myself in the clinic over a decade. And
Mm.
all that education came down to one thing, which is I had to do it myself anyways. And the pandemic gave me the time to do it. And what we're doing is blazing a trail and just showing people what we did. They can support us by buying supplements, and we have some classes that they can pay for. But if you want any and all the help that you need, including the 28-day reset, which is the powerful program to reset your whole body and nervous system, it's free of charge. And you can show up to classes where you have coaches and practitioners that will help you free of charge. And even with the talk therapy part of it, the emotional part. So every week that they can go through this, and we're launching our new platform in January, and they can go through with a group of thousands of people going through it at the exact same time. They can show up to a class, they'll see the same people transitioning and changing. And right now, the largest number of people coming to us are practitioners.
Hmm. Yeah. What's the new platform, Gary? You got to let me know so I can make sure that I'm linking that in the show notes too.
Yeah, just go to our website. It's just sign up for the 28-day reset. We use and we're working with Circle. We have all of our,
Yep.
our our content up on Circle right now. And
Okay.
we're putting it over right now. But the platform's designed, the 28-day reset is the primary tool in order to heal your own body. Because it's an education about why your body's broken. It's not just the movements that we did here today. It's why you're needing it in the first place. What about the
Mm.
chemicals? Why the things you don't think about? In New York City, you are breathing chemicals every day that depletes your body's silica. Without that, nothing works. And those chemicals weren't around 40 years ago.
Yeah. Is that where someone should start? Someone that's listening to this right now, should they start with the 28 day or should they start with the 1 day?
I think, well, that's the 28-day. You have to start with the 1 day. And
Okay.
then if you're not even ready for that, you go to our website and you do the upper or the lower reset. Lower reset is basically a full body warm up with a lower body. It's for digestion, hormones, autoimmune, leg issues, hip issues, stuff like that. Or the upper reset, brain function, anxiety, stress, whatever. Do the upper or lower reset. They take 30 and 35 minutes. And if you just do that once a day, over the course of 28 days, your life changes because
Mm.
there's nothing else that we know of that takes the body out of stress every single day. And this will, in 15 minutes, well, you can see how fast you changed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm doing the lower right after this. Like 30 minutes, I'm doing it. If you have me sold without a doubt. For numerous reasons, I'm choosing to do that. But Gary, this has been absolutely incredible. First and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to have you to amplify this to our audience, make an impact alongside of you. I'm honestly so grateful. I'm going to ask you one last question. If Gary lives to whatever year he wants to live to, he impacts as many people as he wants to impact. He does it all, whatever it is for you personally. But you could only be remembered for one piece of advice. I'm not asking how you want to be remembered. I'm asking if I think of Gary after this conversation many years down the road, this is the piece of advice that I remember. What's that advice?
It's to believe in yourself and your body's ability to heal.
Believe in yourself and your body's ability to heal.
Yeah,
And you
it's
preach
all
that and
there.
show it
We,
every day.
we have we have been patently trained that we need other people to do this,
Mm,
and we have an entire architecture of infrastructure designed around from pharmaceutical companies designed to tell us that we are sick and we are broken.
mm,
And categorically, that's not true. It was 100 years ago, 75 years ago, 85% of the population couldn't even go see a doctor. So we didn't die. We have been, we our bodies are self healing machines. All we have to do is give it the tools. And
mm.
if I believe in myself, I can do that. And this is the primary thing. Your generation was taught not to believe in yourself. Your generation was taught that you need external sources of everything. This is the biggest thing. But your generation is also born in generation of Capricorn. So you don't take bullshit and you're going to get to the bottom line. You guys are the ones bringing in the change. I'm just the head of a spear piercing the veil of all the bullshit that I went through. So
Mm.
your generation gets the benefit of being able to go through and make those changes.
I love this. Gary, you're incredible. Thank you again for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
It was a great time. Look forward to our next meeting.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.